It's early summer. To the visitors, all seems blissfully quiet in the Royal Botanic Gardens queue. But in reality, the staff are close to fever pitch, preparing for a special occasion in less than 24 hours. Will they make it?
Just coming tomorrow, we'll have 2 hours in the morning, 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock, to get ourselves prepared out on the Palmhouse front.
Of course it's too late, but we've run out of time. We have to have it done by tomorrow, so...
I think we should be right. We need to finish these today and then they can be checked first thing tomorrow morning.
What time is it? 9:30. Should go at 11, hour and a half.
The Royal Botanic Gardens queue has been bestowed with the honour of becoming a World Heritage Site. From its famous Victorian glasshouses to its extensive flower beds, everything is being pruned, weeded, painted, polished and cleaned to look its very best for a royal visit. It's 10 years since Her Majesty the Queen last came to the gardens. On this occasion, her Bentley will sweep through the main gates, turn left at the Orangery, then along the broad walk to the Palmhouse. The whole of this area is the domain of Stuart Henchy, head of Hardy Display, and one of his managers, Annette Dalton.
Yeah.
Stuart's a man with a mission.
Either fix it up or remove it. But, it's a right mess. He's had that on his list for a while. There's stacks of things to do.
It'll need to be done, but it's like I've always said, like, it's a cyclical thing, gardening anyway. So, I mean, if there was any point at which you could stand here and say, oh, the whole place looks perfect, we'd have to fire half the staff. You know, so you're always chasing your tail, right?
We always want it to be better, okay, regardless of who's coming.
Nothing will escape Stuart's critical eye.
Well, I asked everyone to water them last week, but it wasn't done. They need watering today. You think the Queen was coming?
In front of the Palmhouse, it's out with the old winter display and in with the new. Her Majesty will be expecting to see Sarah Smith and the rest of the bedding team's work in progress.
So we're starting ripping out all the spring bedding from the Palmhouse front, and then if we have a bit of time on Friday before she comes, we may start planting either side of the central path, which is where we've been told the Queen's actually going to get out of her car and walk into the Palmhouse front from. So if we're anywhere, we're going to be there on Friday planting. Our assistant curator, Stuart Henchy, he was destined to meet the Queen up at the Aroyd House in a posh suit, but he's been told he's going to have to be with us on the day and working. So the chances are, if he's here, the Queen's going to be introduced by him to us. So yeah, should be good. Looking forward to it.
After meeting the bedding team, the Queen will venture into the Palmhouse. But once inside, will the encroaching jungle need some sympathetic pruning for the royal entourage? Hugh's very own royal visit organiser, Lisa von Schlipper, has come to find out and needs Emma Fox, keeper of the Palmhouse, and her boss, Phil Griffiths, to convince her.
I can do something about the bananas. The palms we've wired up. That's about as high as we can get those. But if we've got rid of this side of things, is that going to be okay? It will be wet underfoot.
It doesn't have to be. It's not slippery.
No.
How sharp are they?
They're not sharp. It's authentic tropical rainforest experience, really. We could sell that idea. You can probably...
Nice try, Emma, but maybe give Her Majesty a compass just in case, eh?
What's going on over there?
Tough.
It'll be done by then,
Yes, I was told in February that it would be turfed.
They're painting the ends the other side. We probably need to get these painted as well, don't we?
What about the hedges?
I did mention my dandelions to Nigel, and he said that this is where people are going to be stood.
Yes.
Queue people. He said that it's going to be absolutely packed with lots of families and staff. And so will they see the hedge?
Probably not a lot.
So they won't see my dandelions.
Just on there, no.
Not normal to have this much work going on the palm pads at the moment. There seems to be some strange correlation between their royal visit and the movements of our building and maintenance department. But I like it, it's good.
Kew became a botanic garden in 1759 and is home to 30,000 different kinds of plant. Behind the Palm House is one of the most popular collections, which is the responsibility of Laurie Koenig-Kramer from South Africa.
If you look at the way Kew's laid out in general, it's not based on aesthetics, it's based on nomenclature. So you've got the oak collection, the beech collection, but the rose garden obviously has an aesthetic function, but again, it's to display sort of the historical, traditional way roses have been displayed. It's a very formal layout, and again, it managed to source roses which otherwise wouldn't be available. I love climbing roses and pergolas and that old sort of cottage garden look. You couldn't have a botanical gardens that didn't have a rose garden. Certainly not a botanical gardens of Kew's stature anyway. I mean, at this time of year, there's always people in here. All ages. Kids seem to know them as well. If there's a football match on the Kew and you're not supposed to play sport here, it'll be in the rose garden for some reason.
Until the 1920s, there was a lake here, home to the Swan boat built for George III when he was Prince of Wales in 1755. Today, Laurie's roses need lots of loving care.
This time of year, one of the major tasks is deadheading. It basically involves taking any spent blooms and cutting them back to a leaf axil. We do it for two major reasons. The spent blooms look ugly, for one, and secondly, roses produce hips, and as soon as those hips start forming, basically the rose's fruit with all the seed in, it produces a chemical which inhibits flower production. So as soon as you cut that off, you inhibit that chemical and it keeps on flowering. Roses do particularly well with fairly conscientious deadheading. Particularly boring job.
What do you give someone who has everything? That's the problem for Tony Kirkham. As head of the Arboretum, no prizes for guessing, it'll be a tree.
I'm looking for a plant to give the Queen on Friday. When the Queen comes to Kew, she either plants a tree at Kew or we give her a tree to take away for a garden at Frogmore. I've had a good look round and I've come up with this one. This is a nice young Indian horse chestnut, and it's a particularly interesting one because where the Queen's going to be presented with this on Friday is by the Nash Conservatory, and there's a really good flowering form there called Sydney Pierce that was named after curator at Kew, and it should be in full flower on Friday, so the Queen will be able to see what it looks like when it makes a mature tree. Should go in the boot of a Rolls Royce, and I'm sure it'll be a nice plant for Frogmore, where there's already an Aesculus indica, the Indian horse chestnut, but not this really good form.
Kew's aims have changed over the years. At one time it studied plants for their commercial value. Nowadays, Kew's work is about conservation, education, and attracting visitors by allowing as much access as possible to the collections. About 750 people work at Kew, and over 200 of them are gardeners. The 150-year-old herbarium is home to over 7.5 million dried and pressed specimens. In In the Jodrell laboratory, botanists, as well as working with plants, occasionally help the police with their inquiries. Today, Customs Officer Guy Clark has come to Kew looking for expert help. He's brought with him part of a shipment that he thinks may contain illegal substances.
What we've got here is a sample of a shipment of wooden window blinds that have come from Singapore. The blinds themselves originate in Indonesia, and we need to make sure that the timber that they've used for the blinds isn't ramming.
If it is the tropical hardwood ramming, then the man who'll know is Kew's wood anatomist, Peter Gasson. He has an extensive slide collection with 10,000 examples of trees.
Well, ramming is a genus Gonistylis, which comprises about 20 species from Southeast Asia and Indonesia, and they're all listed under CITES regulations, which means that there is restriction on their international trade. This one there.
Yes.
As well as being endangered, ramming is important for orangutans who inhabit the ever-decreasing parts of the Indonesian jungle where the trees grow.
What we should have in here is 4 smaller wooden blinds. We've already had a quick look at them on the dock. So these are the ones we think may contain very well packed.
If Peter suspects a piece of wood is ramming, he must examine it under a microscope to confirm its characteristic structure. But first, he has to boil small pieces in water for a few minutes, so that the wood becomes soft enough to cut sections on the equivalent of a botanist's bacon slicer. The slivers peel off no thicker than a human hair, and you need to keep the blade razor sharp.
Under the hand lens you can see that there are vessels. Microscopically they're quite big holes in the wood running that way, and they're the cells that transport water up the living tree. But around those vessels there's what we call winged aliform parenchyma, so they're thin-walled cells which form long wings. So it's a bit like looking at an aircraft head-on and looking at the nose and the wings coming out from it. And that's a feature that's very distinctive for ramming. There's quite a lot of ramming in this one.
It was 6 months later at Heathrow, Guy Clark's base, that he had news.
After we completed the examination at Kew, ramming was found in a large proportion of the blinds. The whole shipment was confiscated from the importer. Customs then have to look to dispose of all the goods in the best interests of conservation.
Back in the gardens, the royal visit is looming. When Richard Turner produced his upturned ship design for the Palm House in 1844, my bet is the last thing on his mind was how to clean 16,000 panes of glass. These days, Emma Fox knows just what options are open to her staff.
Right. So your options are pressure washing or pressure washing?
Sounds good.
Is that alright?
Yeah.
You sure?
No, seriously, we enjoy pressure washing.
You like getting wet inside rather than... That's good. That's great. That's what I want to hear.
To go, everyone has to muck in, and Laurie has had to abandon his rose garden in order to apply the horticultural equivalent of some sticking plaster.
It's actually the Palm Houses area, but we're doing it anyway. We actually did reseed it, but some contractors damaged it again, so it's the second time we've done it this week. It'll look better, it won't be green. With any luck, it'll blend in. Of course it's too late, but we've run out of time. We have to have it done by tomorrow, so
Security, as well as splendour, is on everyone's mind. 20 litre bins to move, 5 miles of path to be swept, and 60 acres of grass to cut. Everything has to look perfect or be removed.
Take that away. There's enough blinking signs and things around here.
Kew used to be 2 royal gardens, the Richmond Estate and the Kew Estate, which were combined in 1802. Over the years, they've been added to and now cover 300 acres. King George III lived in the palace, as did his son, King George IV. Princess Augusta, who married George II's son, Frederick, Prince of Wales, is credited with founding the Botanic Garden and built the Orangery, which was once the largest glasshouse in England. The Princess of Wales Conservatory, which is sited near the original Botanic Garden, is named after Augusta. With the Queen's visit edging ever closer, time is running out for Owen Alvarez, one of Kew's 220 garden staff, to make everything perfect.
Right, it's going to be a bit tight, I'll say that. I might have to come in early tomorrow morning, like 6 o'clock or something like that, to just get things absolutely done. We'll be outside the main gate tidying up and edging around the green, which is a big job. It's quite heavy. I can't remember when it was last done actually, but it should look really good for the Queen when she comes.
During a remodelling of Buckingham Palace in 1836, William IV donated one of his surplus conservatories to Kew. It was used as a farmhouse until the famous one was built. Today, it's being decorated by Roselle Andrews and Richard Helliwell, because it's here that the Queen will unveil the World Heritage Plaque.
If we make the outline in the foliage first, then everything sort of seems to fall into place to get it to match, which is quite helpful.
Only the best flowers for the Queen, so Roselle went shopping at 5 in the morning, choosing gladioli, alliums and delphiniums at London's Covent Garden Market.
I think we should be right. We need to finish these today and then they can be checked first thing tomorrow morning, so I think we're in plenty of time.
Conservation of plant species and native habitats are one of the main aims of Kew, and something that's always in the minds of the garden staff. While the north end of the garden is being made perfect for Her Majesty, Arboretum team leader Tony Hall is leaving nature to its own devices in a small spot near the Temperate House.
We put 30,000 Psilocybe siberica bulbs in here last autumn for a good spring display, and obviously because we cultivated the soil when we put them in, we disturbed all the seed. We left the psilos until they'd been completely finished, and all this came up. I mean, it's, absolute wonder. And the visitors and the public enjoyed it so much, we decided to leave it here. And it's probably been in flower for 5 or 6 weeks now. A lot of the poppy seeds are now starting to ripen up, so we're going to come over and we're going to collect the seed from here, and we're going to prepare the area over there, put the seed down in the next week or two, and then hopefully this time next year we'll have a similar thing over by the Brentford Gate.
He's right, it does need something.
We've got some marigold seed here, which is all nice and ripe, so this is what we're looking to collect. If it falls off and it's nice and brown, then that's ideal. There's not as much ripe as there is for the poppy, so we're actually having to look through and find individual plants. We've mostly got the poppies, which are the ones that are the seeds actually ripe now, the common poppy, which is the one that most people really associate with wildflower meadows and old corn and wheat fields.
There's nothing like a royal visit to get all those jobs done. And plenty of work still for Stuart Henchy.
When are the edges going to be cut around? Or is that
Today.
Today, yeah?
Yeah. It's Thursday. We're about midday, nearly dinner time, thank God. But she's coming tomorrow. We'll have 2 hours in the morning, 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock, to get ourselves prepared out on the Palmhouse front. So we're going to be planting in the middle area, so all the stuff that's going to go in those beds has got to be out here, and all the trucks removed. All the urns have been planted up now, and they're going to be coming out and be put into the actual ornamentation along the Palmhouse Pond. So we've got all that to happen in the morning and be sort of under control and set for when she's actually coming our way. So we're going to be busy tomorrow.
Emma also looks after the water lily house. She'll be showing off her giant Victoria Cruziana, named after the Queen's great-great-granny.
At the moment, we're just trying to get everything tidied up, really. We're working on the climbers, trying to get all that tidied, but this is just routine work. But everything's got to be spotless and tidy, ready for the Queen's visit.
It's been agreed we're going to be working, so that's how she's going to see us. So as long as we've got a corporate top on, that's fine, and no swearing. Normally me. The red light's gone on.
Some more weeds to come out of that.
And around the corner, Laurie is back from his turf laying. The rose garden consists of over 3,000 individual plants. It's a year-round job, spraying, weeding, feeding, and due to Kew's poor sandy soil, they need a lot of watering.
Kew's policy with regards to watering obviously is water preservation as much as possible. So watering the day is a no-no, of course, because most of the water is lost to evaporation. Not to mention the fact that there's punches in here when you look at the roses, and you can't really have people walking around with big obvious sprinklers running. So we switch them on about 3:30 just before we go home, and we leave them running all night. This year we started watering, and even though we had all that rain quite early on, sort of mid-springish, we had our irrigation running at the same time because we weren't going to get caught in the same situation we were last year. So it's basically a combination of proper feeding, proper pest and disease management, and proper irrigation. Even now we're watering once every 2 weeks, which is quite a big job. I mean, to water an area as big as this, you're talking about 9-10 big sprinklers, 9-10 big hose pipes. So it takes 2 people an hour and a half to set the whole big business up, and then it takes us another hour to pick up everything the kids have ripped over before they've left. I mean, it's quite a big place of watering here.
A major undertaking, but with an impending royal visit, it's certainly going to be worth it. The royal visit arrives, and most of the gardeners are in earlier than usual.
We've been warned to have all our tools further into the enclosure so nobody can pick them up and, cause havoc with them. So it is high security, which is, warranted. We've got no nutters here, but you never know.
On a normal day, he's usually concerned with more weighty matters, but today, the man in charge of shifting benches and last-minute troubleshooting is Kew's head of horticulture, Nigel Taylor.
Some of the rope has been supplied to keep the crowd back. The fixings don't go around corners, and so it's trying to fall over, and we just need something to fix it into the ground. It's something so simple, but finding it at the last minute, never easy. Looking at some tent pegs right now.
Fall of Her Majesty's foot.
Hello.
With trees from Asia, Australia and Africa to check out, the sniffer dog could be forgiven for being somewhat distracted. But he's a professional. Thankfully, it's a clean sweep, and outside in the garden, the other professionals are doing some last-minute cleaning up too.
What time is it? 9:30. She went 11, hour and a half.
Just some nice touching up, a bit more weeding, fiddling about with benches, final bits and touches, and then we're done.
The next persons through that door will be the Queen, but are Phil Griffiths and Greg Redwood, head of Glasshouses, ready for her?
Yeah, it's squeaky clean.
But she's only got about 5 minutes in it, so it's going to be very difficult for her to ask me too many difficult questions in that kind of time. So it should be alright.
The sound of a purring Bentley is barely audible against the murmur of the crowd standing along the now immaculate Broadwalk. As Q's director, Sir Peter Crane, introduces the Queen to the bedding team, there's a last-minute wobble in the Palm House.
Yes, Your Majesty.
It's Your Majesty and then Mom.
What about him?
Oh, no, you don't have to call him Your Highness.
As their moment arrives, Phil and Greg's last-minute nerves seem to have gone. Looks as if they're enjoying meeting their royal visitor.
She's very interested in the vistas and the trees that are on there and how they respond to pruning. And had we done any pruning, I think probably because the vistas, she could see the vistas were closing in, and I explained about the 5-year cycle we have for pruning, and she was more concerned about the trees that we'd chosen and were they suitable for London climate and pollution. So I put her mind at rest for that. It's not every day you meet her, is it?
And it looks as if all Emma's hard work is appreciated too.
She was lovely. She said how beautiful it all looked.
She just asked nice questions and asked the other team and group who they were and what they were, and that was it.
And first up was Andrew.
We were introduced as the bedding team, and this is my first day on the bedding. She asked me if I was a student. I said no, I was a full-time member of staff. I shook her hand, and I don't know if I was supposed to, and I was really scared. It is dirty. She's got incredibly white, Daz white gloves. She's probably walking around with very dirty white glove in one hand. And I'm sorry if I've spoilt her day.
He was asking about our tomatoes and whether they'd be edible later and what colour they were. And then we went on to say what other colours we had, and he thought all the other colours were tomatoes too, so we had to set him right on that one. So, and then he told you, oh, you native? To me, Cockney Sparrow here. I was like, posh voice on or something. I said, oh yes sir, London sir. We're going to go to the Nash building, because a lot of us stupidly didn't take our cameras to get shots, because we didn't think we'd get any really good close-up ones. So we're hoping if we go to the Nash we might get some, if she's hanging around long enough. Yeah, we're heading off. Bye!
At the Nash Conservatory, Roselle's daughter Victoria gets her chance to present the Queen with a posy. Last, the unveiling. The commemorative plaque is not only a permanent reminder of how the world recognises the Royal Botanic Gardens as one of the most unique places on Earth, but is also recognition of the contribution made by all those who've worked here over the last 245 years. The man whose vision it is to take the gardens into the future is director Sir Peter Crane.
This does bring us to the end of the kind of formal process, but now it's our responsibility to make sure that the place stays great. Look, the important thing I think about today was it was really for the staff, and they're the ones who've done all the work, they're the ones that deserve the recognition, and that's why it was important that the Queen came today, and that's the significance of today as far as I'm concerned. the gardens look great, which is not only good for today but also good for the future. We've got a lot more to do to bring this garden up to what it can truly achieve. I think the possibilities for the future are just absolutely wonderful.
Next time, Dave's got his hands full moving some unwieldy palms. Phil has a painful encounter with ants. And the worst storm in 15 years threatens to close the gardens. Want to know more? Log on to